Welcome to the L&T podcast. It's a lifestyle. Today, just me, Marvin with you, and we're going to be talking about how to unlock male vitality and wellness, specifically by optimizing the hormone testosterone. So a bit of a niche specific topic in this episode and focusing mainly on male health. But if you're a female, whatever you are, it'll be good to watch this and gain benefits from it and learn something new, hopefully, for you or a family member, whoever it might be. We'll be talking about optimizing testosterone levels specifically with growing age. And as we know, with testosterone, after the age of 30, our testosterone levels drop by 1% every year onwards from 30. Okay, the reason why we've decided to talk about testosterone today is because it is raising a few concerns with a few studies coming out showing testosterone levels over the years have been declining. Some studies showing that they've been declining quite drastically as well. Since the mid-70s to now, testosterone levels, some studies showing have been dropped by as much as 50%. So it is an epidemic on its own, and it is something important to raise because there are a lot of things we can do, and this is natural things or things that we can do with our lifestyle that can help not only regulate and manage our testosterone, but also boost it and increase our levels. Okay, so and that's going to be the main focus of today. That we'll start off and hopefully you'll learn a little bit more about testosterone. What is testosterone? And why is it important specifically for male health? And we know females also hold a specific amount of testosterone in their system, but for males, it tends to be a lot higher. Okay, so we'll be talking about why it's so important and so vital for male health. And furthermore, we'll go on to start talking about how we can optimize those levels, how we can increase our levels of testosterone. There's been studies to show that there are particular males at the ages of 80 or even 90 with very, very high testosterone levels, as much as an average 30-year-old. So we're wondering why, what's going on. Is it to do with genetic factors? Is it to do with environmental factors and lifestyle? It is a little bit of both, but there's a lot in our hands and a lot we can control, which is, I think, why a lot of you might benefit from the knowledge that I'm about to share today. Okay, so after we've talked about lifestyle changes, I'll also bring up some supplements that you can take, and these are not medication; it's just supplements to help, or that have been shown with literature that I've been looking at, and that have been shown to increase levels of testosterone and help boost it. So we'll be sharing with you those supplements as well. And furthermore, I will also be sharing a few other things or useful tips of information. Also, evidence-based literature to suggest how we can improve overall male fertility and reduce the risk of impotence and issues with that as well. So shifting a little bit away from testosterone and talking more about other issues that males might deal with in terms of infertility and impotence. Okay, so without further ado, let's get started.
Are you trying to make this a challenge? Holy hiccup.
Hey guys, if you want our help in setting up a personalized meal plan or a personalized training program, or both, we can actually do that online for you on our platform and get that done through website, Robin.
Yep. So jump on www.lntonline.co.nz. Sign up. We'll have the questionnaire. Fill that out. We'll take care of the rest.
Awesome. Okay, so what is testosterone? Okay, testosterone is a hormone, or also known as a sex steroid, that is produced in our bodies, okay, specifically in males. So if we're talking about males and females, there is a ratio of estrogen and testosterone, and in males, testosterone tends to be considerably higher than estrogen, and in females, that equation is reversed, where estrogen is quite high. Now, testosterone does serve important purposes in females as well. It's important to note, but also estrogen is important in males as well. What's important is to maintain that ratio and making sure that testosterone is considerably higher. Okay, so it is a hormone. It's a sex hormone, and it has so many different functions, so many helpful in so many different ways. And how it's created is by initially the secretion of a particular hormone named LH, or luteinizing hormone, from the pituitary glands, which is in the brain, small tiny gland in the brain that secretes LH. Luteinizing hormone, or LH, makes its way down to the testes, okay, whereas the male region where testosterone is produced, okay, there is a particular type of cell called Leydig cells, and where the LH acts upon these cells, and a number of reactions, chemical reactions, occur to produce finally testosterone. Cholesterol is actually a precursor of testosterone, so it's a very, very important aspect and an important factor in creating testosterone, which is an interesting point to note, and we will talk about it a little bit later. And as you may note, cholesterol is a type of fat cell. We have different types. We have high density lipoprotein, low density lipoprotein. We'll be talking about the good and the bad and the ugly with cholesterol there. But it's important to note that it is a precursor, and it is required for the production of testosterone. Okay. So once this testosterone is produced in the testes by the Leydig cells, it goes around into the bloodstream, serving so many different functions all over the body. Okay, which brings us to a point of why is this so important? Why is this hormone so important for us, and why is it a bad thing to have a reduction in testosterone? Okay, so one of the main things, the most important, okay, or one of the most important, is libido or sex drive, and also overall sexual function, okay? Without testosterone, we will have no sex drive, okay? Interesting and important to note is that for males without any estrogen, libido tends to drop down immediately as well. So small amounts of estrogen are required for male libido or sex drive. Okay, that's important to note. But testosterone is, I guess, the pinnacle when it comes to making sure that our sexual function is premium or optimized, and our sex drive is peak. Okay, so key aspect in that department. Okay. Second of all, as you may know, testosterone plays a very, very important role in lean body mass, okay? Not only producing lean body mass, but also controlling our overall adipose tissue or fat in our body, okay? So it acts upon one of the areas that it does act upon is the liver, okay? And it plays an important role in helping or guiding, promoting protein synthesis, okay? And as we know, by synthesizing protein, we are able to promote muscle growth and increasing lean body mass, okay? Not only that, it helps with overall strength development, which is one of the key aspects of why males tend to be able to lift a lot more than females. This is mainly because of the hormone testosterone and the role it plays in strength development in males, okay? There are other factors, but that is one of the key factors of why males tend to hold more strength than females. Furthermore, not only the muscles, but also bone mineral density and overall bone health. Testosterone does act upon that and make sure to keep bone mineral density healthy and high. Okay, it's one of the reasons with decline or with growing age and the decline of testosterone, bone mineral density tends to drop down slowly, gradually along with it. Okay, there's other hormones that play a role in that, but testosterone is an important factor for bone density. Okay, moving away from bones and muscles, testosterone also plays a very important role in brain function. Okay, we're talking about cognition, but also mood as well. Okay, it's been shown associated with feelings of depression, feelings of irritability, and feelings of fatigue. Okay, there are many questionnaires that are used to not diagnose, but I guess screen males for reduced fatigue, and one of the reduced testosterone more so. And one of the questions tends to be focused around fatigue. Are you always feeling tired? Do you feel like you're low on energy throughout the day? Do you feel fatigued directly after dinner and you want to crash and sleep? So many questions are based around there, and I will give you a screening website that you can go and fill in those questionnaires to help you. Again, it's not a diagnostic or self-diagnostic tool, but it is useful to maybe get an idea and see maybe if you need to do further checkups about your testosterone levels. Okay, so it does help. It's been shown to increase so mood, which we've covered, but also has been shown to help with memory and also attention, spatial cognition and spatial awareness, all those things in terms of overall brain function. Testosterone once again plays a very, very important role with that. Moving on, the other thing that testosterone is very useful for or important is cardiovascular health. Okay, and that's because of two main reasons. One of them is it helps regulate the lipid profile in your system. Okay, we mentioned the cholesterol earlier, but it helps regulate the ratios of LDL and HDL. Okay, so it promotes the production of HDL, high density lipoprotein, which is great for us, and helps rid of or control the levels of low density lipoprotein and making sure that they are not too high. It actually helps to decrease them. Okay, very, very important function there in terms of helping with cardiovascular disease, because we know that low density lipoprotein is linked with atherosclerosis as well as many, many different other cardiovascular diseases. Okay, that's important. The second thing is it actually helps regulate or prevent hypertension and regulate blood pressure. It plays a really important, intricate role in controlling our blood pressure and making sure that stays regulated, because we know that hypertension is one of the prerequisites of cardiovascular disease. Okay, they always come together. Another thing that testosterone is useful or important role for is keeping your metabolism nice and healthy, ticking along well. Okay, and it does that, as we've mentioned earlier, because it helps promote or increase lean body mass and reduce adipose tissue, visceral fat, and control your lipid profiles. That in hand helps keep you or help maintain a good figure for you and keep you in shape and reduce the risk of different metabolic disorders such as obesity and diabetes. Okay, now before going into how to optimize our testosterone levels, I thought it might be quite useful and important for us to go over how you can test your testosterone levels. Okay, now as mentioned earlier, I did say I was going to mention a particular questionnaire. I will stress again, this questionnaire is not for you to self-diagnose and say you've got adequate amounts of testosterone or you are low on testosterone. The only way that you can actually get that done is going to see your medical health provider or healthcare provider and getting some bloods done. And you are able to catch a glimpse and get an idea of your testosterone levels. But if you are curious to see, you can go online and search the ADAM questionnaire. That's ADAM questionnaire for testosterone screening. And it is a very short questionnaire just to give you an idea of whether that you may need further testing, and just to see if you need some testing and see if you need either treatment or just to acknowledge that your testosterone levels are below par. Okay, so that's the ADAM questionnaire, ADAM. Okay, as mentioned earlier, with growing age, testosterone does drop. After the age of 30, you're dropping testosterone by 1% each year from then. Okay, and as mentioned earlier, there are things we can do to change that or maintain and regulate testosterone levels. There are genetic factors to play that are beyond our control, but there's also a lot of environmental and lifestyle components that have been proven through literature time and time again that can help regulate and increase our testosterone levels, which shows in some males at the ages of 80 and 90 having testosterone levels higher than some people who are in their 30s now, which is impressive. Okay, very interesting as well. Now, moving on, how and what can we do to optimize testosterone levels? Okay, and I know there are different forms of TRT, or what we call testosterone replacement therapies, and things that you can do for those. A lot of people do get them with who have low testosterone levels, or even nowadays people are getting them even without having low testosterone levels, just boosting their testosterone. I will not be covering that today. I'll be talking about lifestyle factors and things we can do on a day-to-day basis that can help increase or optimize testosterone levels. Later on, I'll also be discussing and bringing up some supplementations and other herbal supplements and things that you can use that can aid and have been shown by literature, to improve testosterone levels, okay? So, first thing that you have to look at is body weight, okay? Very, very, very important, okay? Research has shown males who are in the overweight or obese category tend to hold less testosterone, okay? So keeping or controlling your body fat levels is going to be very, very important, okay? Why is that? This is because body fat and the fat cells themselves can create a particular hormone called aromatase, or it's a number or group of hormones called aromatases, okay? These aromatases are experts at converting testosterone into estrogen, okay? That's basically their job. And the more fat cells that we hold, the more aromatase we produce, and these are responsible for converting that testosterone into estrogen. It's kind of similar to alcohol, which we've covered in a previous podcast, and alcohol being so good at converting testosterone into estrogen and reducing your overall testosterone levels. Well, body fat does the same thing, okay? It contributes in exactly the same way, and it's because of these aromatases, okay? So very, very important. Second thing is your insulin resistance, leading to hormonal imbalances. This also is so important to discuss because having not watching your weight and having a high-fat diet, or if you're having a lot of sugars, processed carbohydrates, or refined carbohydrates on a day-to-day basis or multiple times a day, you're causing insulin spikes, constant insulin spikes, okay? And these insulin spikes actually cause a hormonal imbalance that can lead to insulin resistance, which is the building block of diabetes, okay? Not only that, because of this hormonal imbalance, it can actually cause to blunt your testosterone and drop it down, okay? So having lots of sweets and sugary foods, refined carbohydrates, as definitely you might need to have a look at, not only because of increased body weight, but because of the hormonal imbalances and the reduced testosterone it's causing there, okay? The other thing is to do with inflammation, okay? Having these sugary foods and high saturated fats in your diet, trans fats in particular, you are causing a lot of inflammation in your system, and you're causing the secretion and creation of pro-inflammatory cytokines. Okay, so there's anti-inflammatory cytokines and there's pro-inflammatory cytokines. These pro-inflammatory cytokines wreak havoc in your system, okay, and they can actually go as far as disrupting testosterone synthesis, okay, causing another disarray or cascade of hormonal imbalances and reducing your testosterone levels, okay. So holding excessive fat in your body has a number of issues that go through, whether it's insulin resistance and hormonal imbalances that way, or inflammation, secretion of pro-inflammatory cytokines that lead to disruption of your testosterone. So many different things, as well as aromatase, obviously, which converts your testosterone into estrogen. The other thing, there's so many other ways because of increased body weight that can lead to it. I thought I'd cover another one. There are other functions and so many other ones that are a lot more intricate, but there is a specific globulin, I guess, which is what's called sex hormone binding globulin, or SHBG. And what does that? With increased body fat, you've got increased SHBG, okay, or sex hormone binding globulin, okay. And this is associated with reduced HDL levels, which is high density lipoprotein, as mentioned earlier, is a precursor, which is a type of cholesterol. It's a precursor to producing testosterone, okay? So increasing SHBG leading to a reduction in HDL, and that reduction in HDL, you don't have that precursor cholesterol to produce testosterone, therefore leading to a reduction in the bioavailability of testosterone, okay? So we've covered overall body weight with the aromatase, converting testosterone into estrogen, as well as insulin resistance. You can develop insulin resistance and causing hormonal imbalances that way. You can disrupt testosterone production due to the pro-inflammatory cytokines and the inflammation you're causing by having these fatty or sugary foods. And fourthly is the SHBG, or the sex hormone binding globulin, being increased and leading to a reduction of the precursor HDL cholesterol. Okay, so many different ways that holding or being overweight or obese can cause a reduction in testosterone. All right, watch that weight. Don't just wait for the summer, just watch that weight. Okay, look after it, which is showing why we're having one of the reasons why testosterone since the 70s or 60s has been on a decline. Okay, the rates of obesity and diabetes and overweight were nowhere near as high back then than they are now, okay? Similarly put is talking about nutrition, okay? And I'd like to talk a little bit more, not so much with body weight, but what we're eating, because you can, just because you are fairly lean, does not always mean that you eat healthy, okay? Which is a big misconception that a lot of people do, okay? Just because you've got a fast metabolism, you can eat what you like. That does not mean, it means you could be in shape and you could be shredded with a six-pack. That does not mean that you're healthy. That could mean that the cells inside your body are crying and seeking for help, okay? So you could be lucky in the department of not holding much body fat because you've got superhuman metabolism. But that being said, it does not mean that you are actually healthy, all right? So in terms of nutrition, overall, excessive calorie intake can negatively impact testosterone levels, okay? That being said, severe caloric restriction, okay, can also impact it, all right? Can also impact your overall testosterone levels. That being said, there have been shown with some studies with intermittent fasting, and this is as much as, I think it was 18/6 or 24, like 20 hours fasting, 4 hours of eating. That actually showed an increased level of testosterone. It is, however, important to note that with those intermittent fastings, they were not on a heavy caloric deficit, okay? Just because you're fasting, it does not mean you're actually on a caloric deficit to start off with, and secondly, not on a heavy caloric deficit. Okay, so intermittent fasting can increase your testosterone levels. However, if you're on a heavy deficit, for example, let's say you're with your basal metabolic rate and your level of activity, your maintenance level of calories is 2,200, so to speak, and you decide to go on a cut or a summer shred and you drop your calories down to 1,200, or, we've had people much lower than that, there is a chance that you will stunt your testosterone production. Not only testosterone, you're causing so many different issues with your body, okay? So be careful with those heavy cuts, all right? So excessive caloric intake can harm it because we've talked about your body weight and what it can do to that. But same thing with complete or very, very deep caloric deficits, all right? So keep an eye on those two. If you are looking to lose weight, make sure you do it gradually and do very controlled declines in your calories. Now, let's talk a little bit more about macronutrients. And macronutrients specifically, we are going to be talking about talking about fats, carbohydrates, and proteins, okay, and how they can affect testosterone, okay? Now, as mentioned earlier, we know cholesterol is a precursor to testosterone. So naturally, you're going to be thinking, oh man, I'm going to need a lot more fat in my diet. So Uber Eats, closest McDonald's, let's hit it. Let's get our testosterone up. No, okay? Because of the reasons I discussed earlier with your body weight and also increased overall calories, all right? So fats are important in your diet, and in fact having very, very low levels of fat as part of your diet have been associated with reduced testosterone. Yes, correct, but there are different types of fats, okay? Trans fats that you're finding in burgers and pizzas and whatever Danish you're having and things like that, those aren't good, okay? They are not good for you, all right? That's not what we're talking about here, okay? Getting your fats from you can have them from eggs, particular animal sources. You can get them from nuts and seeds, from fish, fatty fish as well, avocados. Those are all going to aid to increasing your overall fat intake. And these are, polyunsaturated fats or monounsaturated fats, good fats that can help with testosterone production. Cholesterol is only found in animal products, so you can find it in eggs and meats, different types of meats. So having that, not to mention your body creates cholesterol. So for anyone who is plant-based and is worried and, oh my God, I'm not taking enough cholesterol, your body makes good amounts of cholesterol. So don't worry about that, okay? But for everyone else in general, if you're looking to have that, you can have it through eggs and different types of meats, okay? Furthermore, increasing your overall fat, not just the cholesterol, having healthy fats from nuts, seeds, things like avocado and fatty fish is also applicable, okay? So don't go overboard with it. Don't go to the nearest takeaway shop and say, Marvin said I need cholesterol for increased testosterone. Doesn't work like that. You're going to do more harm than good. So keep that controlled, but it is important to have good, healthy fats as part of a balanced diet, okay? Do not be aware. Don't be scared of that, all right? Moving on, obviously protein, I'll quickly touch upon it. It's very, very difficult to see anyone who is protein deficient, especially here in Western countries. It's very, very difficult. Pretty much everything we eat consists of amino acids that we take in. But it is important just to mention at least that amino acids are the building blocks for our muscles, and obviously the building blocks for protein synthesis as well as testosterone synthesis, okay? So very, very important to have a good sources, clean sources of protein in your diet, okay? Moving on more towards micronutrients, and the key micronutrients I'll be covering that have been shown or have shown a positive correlation with increased testosterone or regulating testosterone levels are vitamin D, okay, which we can get from the sun, okay, specifically from sunlight exposure. Okay, there are some foods that are fortified with vitamin D now, but we get vitamin D with sunlight exposure specifically. Magnesium, okay, which we can get from leafy greens, nuts and seeds, and whole grains. Very, very important factor and has been shown to regulate and increase levels of testosterone. And third is zinc, okay. Zinc could be derived from shellfish, red meat, poultry like chicken, as well as legumes, okay. Another important micronutrient to help boost or keep testosterone levels healthy and running well, okay. Finally, okay, last but not least, as mentioned earlier, is alcohol. I'd like to cover that in our nutrition segment. And as mentioned before, alcohol also produces aromatase, which is an enzyme that is so clever and so efficient at converting testosterone into estrogen. For us males, we don't want that, okay? We want to keep as much testosterone in our bodies as possible, all right? Very, very important. Now, the other pillar, we've covered body weight and nutrition. The other big pillar, and so important, is our sleep, okay? Now, we need to understand that testosterone production follows almost a circadian rhythm. If you look at production of testosterone, it is actually highest in the early hours of the morning. I think 4 a.m., between 4 and 7 or 8 a.m., that's when testosterone production is at its highest, all right? And quality sleep, particularly when we're talking about rapid eye movement stage and deep sleep, so REM sleep and deep sleep, are so important at helping regulate and promote the production of testosterone, okay? So very, very important to mention. If you're having disrupted sleep, waking up, sleeping again, not only with testosterone, you're going to dysregulate a lot of hormonal patterns that occur at that time of sleep, overall leading to decreased sleep, okay? So if you are constantly getting below 7 hours, okay, ideally it would be nice, if you're falling in that bell curve, majority of us need around 8 hours, between 7 and 9 hours of sleep, okay, for not only optimizing testosterone levels, but optimizing our health in general. Anything below, then we are hindering the production of testosterone, all right, and that's been shown time and time again. So aim for a minimum of 7 hours sleep, okay? Sleep hygiene is so important, okay? And this is just one, we're talking about one particular hormone that's so important, but we've got so many other health effects that are led in terms of cognitive, mental, physical, and everything. It's such an important thing that we need to really stress and kind of shine a light on it, okay? While we're talking about the topic of sleep, it's important to mention sleep apnea, okay? Because there's a lot of research on it, and it's very, very important. And what sleep apnea is basically the state of underbreathing during sleep, okay? And underbreathing is basically we're either not breathing, or our respiratory rate, breaths per minute, is reduced considerably during sleep, okay? And that affects our overall gaseous exchange, okay, leading to an increased levels of carbon dioxide in our system, and this negatively affects our hormonal profile, leading to possible decreases in testosterone, okay? The other thing is also nasal breathing, okay? A very interesting book I read a while ago was by James Nestor, Breathe, I think it's called Breathe, the New Science of a Lost Art, Breathe. Very, very interesting book. And he mentions in that book that the most efficient way of breathing is 5.5 seconds inhaling and then 5.5 seconds exhaling. So it is a very slow breathing rate. It actually, if you time it for per minute, it is 5.5 breaths per minute. Okay, so it's a perfect kind of placement. When you try that on yourself and practice it through nasal breathing, because it's more effective and efficient for gaseous exchange. Nasal breathing meaning you are breathing through the nose as opposed to through an open mouth. Okay, sometimes obviously with very high level physical activity, we're going to need to breathe through our mouth at some points in time, but try to, as much as you can, to breathe nasally through the nose, and just practice that 5.5. When I found that out first through the book, and measuring, the average respiratory rate lies anywhere between 14 and 18 breaths per minute, dropping them down to 5.5 with that very slow inhalation exhalation period. It is quite difficult to start off with, but it is it could be very, very beneficial. So not only during sleep apnea, but apnea itself, meaning underbreathing throughout the day, or if you're breathing throughout from the mouth, breathing too fast, or breathing too shallow, all those things can affect your overall hormonal profiling and can actually lead to reduced testosterone. Okay, so through the nose, 5.5. You don't have to be perfect. You can do it 5 seconds. Try 4. Breathing in and breathing out, basically having more control in that breath and breathing through the diaphragm as opposed to up here using the neck muscles. Okay, very important to notice. I know to put that along with sleep, because majority of apnea occurs during our sleep, or sleep apnea, which is a big thing, leading to a possible decline in testosterone levels. Okay, that being said, another pillar, okay, is stress. Okay, now we can argue that stress can encompass all those things. Okay, if we're gaining weight very fast, that can be very stressful. If we're lacking sleep and not getting enough sleep, that can cause stress, and stress itself can make us gain a lot of weight by eating a lot and cause us not sleep. Okay, so it's such a multifaceted tool, but basically the mechanism when it comes to testosterone is sleep. We all know that cortisol is what we call the stress hormone. Okay, when we're under high levels of stress, whether it's physical or mental stress, cortisol is secreted. But interestingly enough, is that as mentioned earlier, that cholesterol is a precursor of testosterone, but it's also a precursor of cortisol. So when we are under stress, instead of cholesterol converting into testosterone, it actually flips to the other side and converts into cortisol, okay, which makes us lose that opportunity to create testosterone and ultimately reducing the bioavailability of testosterone. So stress is a big factor, okay? If you are in and sometimes I understand it is very difficult to manage that, but it's important to have a sit down, either on your own or with a friend or family, and really write down and take note of what's causing stress in your life, and if you've got control over it, whether it's a workplace you're not comfortable with and it's causing quite a bit of stress, whether it's a particular person in your life that's causing quite a bit of stress, and you're not happy with that particular position. Try to have some sort of control over your stress levels, and managing those will not only help increase your testosterone levels, but it's going to help in other factors of life also. Okay. Moving on from stress, exercise is another massive pillar. Okay. And once again, it encompasses everything else. We know exercise can improve sleep. We know exercise can increase your lean body mass and reduce body fat percentage. So very important in those regards. But in addition to that, research suggests specifically resistance training or strength training, and even further delving deeper into it, lifting heavy weights. Okay, and we're talking, getting close to 85% of your 1 rep maximum. Okay, heavy squats, deadlifts, leg press, bench press, all those sort of lifts. Having that as part of your routine doesn't have to be every day, but having it as a part of a regular routine does help the production of testosterone, okay? More so just regular lifting. If you're, if you were on a program that was focused on hypertrophy or muscle growth, which is fantastic, by the way, studies have shown that lifting for strength in some days of the week, and meaning that you lift close to your 1 RM, or you do your 5 reps maximum of heavy bench press or squats, that has a higher inclination towards building increased levels of testosterone, which is interesting, okay? So very, very important to mention that exercise in general will lead to positive benefits when it comes to your hormonal profiling and testosterone levels. But heavy lifting, lifting heavier weights from time to time on a weekly basis can help really boost that testosterone. That being said, okay, there is a but, okay? Lifting too heavy or continuously lifting to failure, meaning that I'm going to do 5 reps of squats and the 5th rep is so heavy that I just simply cannot lift it anymore, and pushing yourself to the limit every single time has actually been shown to reduce testosterone levels, okay? And main reason is because of what we talked about earlier. It's the stress component, okay? When we're lifting that heavy, you're going to be secreting or creating cortisol, or you're going to be using that precursor of cholesterol to produce cortisol as opposed to testosterone, okay? So very, very important that you're, yes, lift heavy, but make sure it's not super, super heavy. We usually use RIR, which is reps in reserve, okay? To kind of guide our clients to understand how much weight they should be pushing, and especially when it comes to strength programming and building strength. And try to leave it at 1 to 2 RIR when you're doing strength, okay? Meaning that if you're going to do a bench press, okay, select a weight that, and if you've been prescribed 5 repetitions, for example, select a weight so that once completing 5 repetitions, it's heavy enough, or it's at the weight that you possibly think that you're able to do one and a half, 2 more repetitions, okay? You've got some in the bank left. That's important to know, okay? That's knowing that you're actually not going to failure, but it's also knowing that you're not going 5 RIR, meaning that once you've finished, you could have easily busted out another 5 repetitions, okay? So that's very, very important. Whenever you're strength training, keep that in mind. 1 to 2 reps in reserve. Have some in the bank so you're not going till failure. There's not much benefits of going till failure, not only when it comes to testosterone, but also in terms of muscle gain and strength gains, okay? From now and then it's good, but don't do it on a weekly basis. Furthermore, for that same reason of cortisol, studies have shown training over 75 minutes, okay, so over an hour 15 minutes, you're starting to, cortisol production becomes so high that you are shifting towards protein breakdown, and you're causing more protein breakdown as opposed to protein synthesis, okay? So you're taking basically, when you're pushing, and some people going to the gym and training their ass off for 2 hours, it gets to a stage where you're taking 2 steps forward and 3 steps back, okay? Not just in terms of performance and muscular gain, but also testosterone, okay? So it's not always go hard or go home, okay? Do your program, okay? Don't have excessively long programs. If it's 75 minutes, you're in the gym, do your workout, come out, okay? Don't spend too long. I always tell people, have a focused workout with your phone away for 40 minutes. It's so much more effective than having an hour and a half workout with looking at TikTok videos half the time, okay? Save your testosterone, leave your phone, focus on your workout, get out of there within an hour and 15. 75 minutes seems to be that happy zone, okay? In terms of testosterone production anyway, and reducing cortisol production, all right? High intensity interval training, important to note, also causes an acute increase in testosterone, okay? So Very, very nice way of training. High intensity interval training, or also termed HIIT, HIIT, can be a beneficial influence. Okay. Another thing I'd like to mention is if you are having, for all those athletes out there, if you are training twice a day, or if you've got a cardio component and a resistance or strength training component on the same day, it's very important to do it in a particular order, and that is doing the strength first and the resistance training first and the cardio component second. It's a lot more beneficial. Reason being is after doing cardio, you can zap testosterone, and testosterone acutely drops, okay, leading to a mediocre or below average strength performance followed straight after, okay? So if you are going to do it on the same day, it's important to note, try to get the resistance and strength training done first and do the cardio later on. You'll be better off and you'll reap the rewards, okay? And on top of testosterone increase with strength or weight training, you also get, there's been studies to show increased fertility in men, as well as increased libido or sex drive. Okay, so it is a win-win. If you haven't got, and I've mentioned in so many podcasts before, if you haven't got resistance or strength training, weightlifting as part of your program, do a little bit of it. Okay, it will help you. Even if you're a marathon runner, lift a little bit of weight. Don't be afraid. Okay. Now, moving on from exercise, a very, very interesting component I'd like to share is competition. And this is very, very interesting finding, and it's a correlation between two. And what I mean by competition is the correlation of competition with testosterone, okay? It's been shown that males who compete, okay, in any aspect of life, whether you are competing in a particular sport, whether you are competing in your career, at work for a particular position, whatever it may be, whether you're competing for a girl to get something, at the university degree, some sort of competition can lead to increased testosterone, which is so interesting. And when I was reading read about this earlier, but then when I was looking into PubMed and particular articles and some reviews, it's very, very interesting to see that correlation. Now, the opposite is also true, okay? Having high testosterone makes you more inclined to compete, more inclined to be confident to compete, okay? So it is a vice versa. Both relationships, when studied, have been shown that there is that positive correlation between the two, okay? And it is to do with our evolution, and it's to do with social status and dominance, perhaps. It's thought of to be that. I think it's a very, very interesting psychological aspect of testosterone, and it just shows you that it's nice to have hobbies, and you do something as a hobby for you to clear your mind and leave your ego aside and enjoy that. But my advice to you, males, especially young males right now, is to find something that lights your fire, okay? Find something to compete in, whether it's a particular sport, it's rugby, football, golf, or something particular in your career that you want to compete, a friendly competition with a friend, anything to do with that can help improve your overall hormonal profile, but also increase your testosterone levels and your testosterone bioavailability, okay? What's said about testosterone is that having testosterone or high levels of testosterone make effort feel like fun, okay? Which is an interesting concept to think about, okay? Which makes you want to compete, okay? So it helps each other, they help one another, forcing yourself to compete, helping an increase in testosterone. That increase in testosterone is going to make you enjoy competing and enjoy the act of competition. And I think that's so important. And not in particular to males, for everyone, I think it's good to compete and test yourself and put yourself on the line every now and then. But for us males in particular, when it comes to this correlation with testosterone, I think it's even more important, so to speak. So in some sort of field, it doesn't have to be every field of your life. In some sort of field, assert your dominance and put yourself out there, compete. Now, when I mention competition, it's regardless whether you win or lose that you're going to be producing testosterone, okay? Very important to note. However, if you do win, you're going to be producing more testosterone, okay? And that's due to a series of a cascade of reactions, particularly starting with a massive dopamine release in your system after that feeling of winning and being triumphant in your particular sport or whatever that you were trying to get. And that dopamine eventually can lead to or conversion and increase of bioavailability of testosterone and increasing testosterone, okay? So compete, doesn't matter. If you lose, you're going to learn something and you're going to get a increased testosterone. But if you win, you're going to be winning and also having an excess of testosterone, an increase, should I say, even higher increase of testosterone in your system. So that's an important thing as well. So when you're competing, try to win. It's about dominance. The other interesting concept is sunlight. Sunlight, ultraviolet exposure. As mentioned earlier, vitamin D is vital and very, very important for the production of testosterone. Okay, it plays a very important role. So sunlight exposure is actually very, very important for enhancement of testosterone. That's why when you do studies in different populations, and the same population, when you look at spring, summertime, as opposed to autumn, winter, in the spring, summertime, they tend to have higher levels of testosterone. And it's mainly down to that vitamin D exposure, okay? Also down to the fact that sunlight can help regulate mood. It causes a boost in serotonin as well and other hormones, which is a feel-good hormone, and can make you feel better. And feeling better can also, by improving that mood, can help regulate and increase testosterone levels. Okay, so one's the mood, and two is exposing yourself to vitamin D. Okay, very, very two important concepts. So try to get outside, and that doesn't have to be sunshine outside, guys. If it's cloudy, you're still going to get ultraviolet light, you're still going to get vitamin D exposure, okay? We understand, especially here in New Zealand, the weather's been horrendous. It's been very, very difficult to get that vitamin D exposure, which is why later on I will be recommending getting vitamin D supplementation, okay, specifically during the winter days, okay, winter time. In the summer, it's much preferred to try to get as much sunlight exposure as possible. Another interesting concept that's recently been so popular, and we've covered a little bit about it in our previous podcast, is ice baths, okay? The ice baths tend to activate Leydig cells in our testes and promote the production of testosterone, which is very, very interesting. I was listening to a different podcast the other day from Andrew Huberman, which is I really enjoy his podcasts about them. But he mentioned that now there are particular underwear that you can wear, and there is ice formulated around that testes area to keep it cold and help promote testosterone production, and also promote spermatogenesis, which is the production of sperm cells, and increase fertility. Very interesting concept. I'm not sure I'm that into it just yet, but interesting, so to speak. But it is to do with that cold exposure. Okay, so ice baths, possibly could do it in ice showers or cold showers as well. So there's a very, very interesting concept there. That being said, as mentioned earlier, ice baths themselves it's almost competition against yourself. Okay, I've done ice baths before, I've done cold showers as well, but with ice baths in particular, you're all fighting against yourself. It's almost like you break down. I feel like I break down into two people, and one person's saying you can't do it, and the other person's competing against that self, saying, no, I'm going to do it. I can do it. And it is that competition within yourself. And I guess it sets yourself, it gives you that mentality of dominance or being dominant over your mind, and having that control, I guess, psychologically can lead, because of that competition concept I talked about, or complex that I talked about earlier, can help increase production of testosterone. Okay, so it's not just activation of the cells in your testes, it could have a psychological benefit as well, and raising your testosterone. Now, as I mentioned, I was going to talk about supplementation, and the first one I'll cover is vitamin D. Specifically in the winter times, it's been raining a lot here in New Zealand, and if you're in any of the Nordic countries specifically, that you're hardly getting any sunlight exposure at all, and sunlight is so short-lived in the winter times. Vitamin D supplementation is highly, highly recommended, and getting it at a very good source is also recommended. All right. I'd always consult your healthcare provider before taking any supplements like such. But if you want to look at any side effects, or you want to find out a little bit more about a particular supplementation, specifically the ones I'm going to be covering today, please go into a website I like to use is examine.com. Okay, examine.com is basically it gives you a search bar where you can search a particular supplement, and it can tell you everything about it, all the evidence-based literature, tells you the side effects, tells you what it can do, the benefits, and everything there. It's an amazing, amazing website, an amazing tool or device that you can use if you're not sure about that. That being said, if you're still not sure, it's important to talk to a healthcare provider and see if it's right for you, and the dosages as well. Okay, so vitamin D is an important one, promoting overall sex steroid hormone production and regulation, including testosterone. But also zinc and magnesium, which I mentioned earlier, tend to have a beneficial impact on testosterone production. So zinc, magnesium, and vitamin D, all very beneficial. And once again, they've got other benefits, not just testosterone levels. For example, magnesium in some studies has been shown to act as a muscle relaxant and help you relax the muscles and reduce tension, as well as improving overall sleep. So they've got different benefits that you can be taking. Zinc's really good for vitality and overall energy levels and bumping that up. So all good supplements that can be taken. The other thing I've looked at more specific in increasing testosterone levels is a particular, herbal supplement called Tongat Ali. Another name for it is a funny name. It's called Tongat Ali. Another name is Long Jack. Okay, and funny name for testosterone boosting supplement. But it actually has been shown. I've looked at different PubMed articles, literature reviews to show that there is some good statistically significant evidence that it has been increasing levels of testosterone in males, okay? I have personally not tried this myself, so I couldn't tell you my personal experience of Tongat Ali, but with everything I've been reading and studying upon it, it is definitely something interesting to see and try. It has also been shown to increase libido, your sex drive, improve fertility, as well as reduce overall stress. So it's got other benefits. Once again, you can look up Tongat Ali or Long Jack on examine.com to find out a lot more about that particular supplement. Okay. The other two I looked at particularly that show some convincing signs of increasing testosterone is maca powder or maca root powder, which is a particular Peruvian root. It's only grown in Peru at 4,000 to 4,500 meters above sea level. So a very, very unique powder. And I take this myself. It's got very, very little side effects and a lot of benefits, specifically for male health. That being said, however, in literature reviews is inconclusive, and majority of the studies, or you get a feel for that, maca powder does not actually increase testosterone levels. Okay, there have been a lot of animal studies done, specifically on mice and rats, to show a dramatic increase in sperm cell production and spermatogenesis. So it could be good for that, and also sense an increase of libido, sex drive, or desire to have sex, and that's to do with maca powder, and that's been statistically significant and proven, or shown, I guess, not proven. Nothing's proven in science. Shown to increase sexual desire in males and females, actually, in humans. And the third herbal supplementation is ashwagandha. Okay. Ashwagandha, with a recent literature review from PubMed, showed that 3 out of the 4 studies that were looked into showed actually an increase in testosterone levels with consumption of ashwagandha. Okay, doses were varied in the studies, but it is showing convincing signs that increased testosterone levels. Furthermore, ashwagandha did show increased libido, some increase in fertility and sex drive as well. So nice supplement to try out as well, with very minimal side effects. Please do look into it further, or consult your healthcare provider if you are looking to try these out. Now, moving away from supplements, there are some additional things that actually can cause reduction in testosterone production and overall reduction in testosterone in your system. As I mentioned alcohol earlier, but another thing is smoked cannabis. Smoked cannabis, as opposed to consuming cannabis orally, smoked cannabis can actually lead to reduced testosterone levels, and that's been shown in multiple studies. Same with nicotine. Nicotine has been shown, whether you're consuming it through chewing gum or smoking cigarettes or whatever it may be, it has been shown to have a direct impact on reducing overall testosterone levels. 2 interesting ones as well is tight clothing. Very, very tight clothing, especially around the testes area, or tight pants or super tight jeans or underwear, can cause the restriction, not only affecting testosterone production, but it can affect fertility or impotence even, meaning that you're having difficulty to get or maintain an erection. So I found that interesting. There are some studies showing with cycling, especially prolonged or consistent cycling on a day-to-day basis, can just the impact and the force that you are producing from the bicycle seat can cause reduction of sperm cell count, as well as possible effect in testosterone levels. The same with heat warmers in cars has been shown to reduce spermatogenesis, which is sperm cell production in the testes, all these things can lead to infertility, also possible increased risk of impotence or failure to maintain an erection. Now, the seat warmers is to do with excessive heat in the testes area, and due to particular proteins that help feed and keep the sperms healthy, it can lead to denaturing those proteins and causing a reduction in overall production of sperm cells. The same thing with spas, using or being in spas for too long and doing it too consistently can lead, or even sitting in saunas and very, very hot saunas can lead to reduced sperm cell production and infertility. So very, very important if you are trying to conceive with your loved one and you're having issues, and a lot of doctors are actually recommending, they're asking, are you cycling a lot? Are you wearing very, very tight clothing? And are you exposing your testes to very, very high heat levels? Okay, those are very, very important. And it is thought to be every 2 degrees increase in heat, there is a 10% reduction in spermatogenesis, which is a very, very interesting finding. Okay, so although not directly linked with testosterone production, it's more towards infertility. Specifically when talking about tight clothing and the heat. It's important to mention, and it's important to, because it is to do with male health overall, and the cycling and the tight clothing was somewhat new to me, and I was surprised to find that out in some of the literature that I covered. Okay, so those are the main things, guys. I will wrap it up. I really hope you enjoyed and got something or gathered something from this particular podcast. Everything I've mentioned today, and you may feel like there seems to be a pattern in terms of having a nutritious diet, keeping an eye on your weight, exercising, improving your sleep. All these are pillars, and not only will they help with production of testosterone, but it's going to improve your life, your quality of life in so many different facets, in so many different ways, that it is silly not to try and give it a go. Okay, we've only got one life. Try to set out these standards and take it step by step. Sometimes it may feel like there's a mountain to climb, but start setting out those small steps in life and putting out those measures so you can make small incremental improvements. Like the power of habit suggests, small habits can lead to a big difference in the end. Okay, so hopefully you've enjoyed this about this podcast about unlocking the male vitality and wellness through optimizing the testosterone levels. Hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned. Take it easy. Have a good one. We'll see you next time. Peace out.
Are you trying to make this a challenge? Holy hiccup.